We are live on the ICCC podcast stage 2021. We are with Anna, 22. Sorry, last year I did this all by myself, okay?
Give him a break, guys.
I lost my voice doing a video game.
Oh, that's my line.
We are live on the podcast stage with Anna Grace. I'm glad I just didn't mess up your name, because last time I messed up a lot of their names, and I just sat here like, this is not going to go well.
It's all good, Micah. I remembered your name and Jeff.
She remembered my name, guys. Fanboy out, fanboy out, fanboy out. Back to real guy. Thank you so much for joining us on the podcast, coming to the podcast stage. How have you been enjoying the con?
I've been enjoying it, but honestly, I've stayed in our Clone Wars room, which is this nice little bubble.
What is that? What is the Clone Wars?
If you come to the Clone Wars room, it's this TV show. It's a little show. It's now on Disney Plus, I think. Some little streaming.
We can't talk the mouse. We can't talk.
Sorry.
I don't want to get sued.
Sorry. I'm endorsing. No, but it's been great. So this walking through just now was my first time on that big floor, and I can't wait to go back out there. That was fun. But I've been so happy to meet the fans and talk about their favorite episodes and tell stories. And I know we did a panel today with Ashley and Matt and James, and seriously, that could have been a 2-hour panel. We have many stories.
I know. I was sad I missed it. I had to be in here.
Well, everybody at home and listening is very glad that you are.
I'll be watching it later. Yeah. Hopefully they broadcasted it. Well, let's jump into the Clone Wars. Satine. I'm gonna hand it over to you, Jessica. I'm gonna let you ask the questions for this one because I feel like I'm out of my realm here.
Well, thank you, Anna. So good to speak with you.
Thank you, Jessica. It's so nice to speak with you as well.
Well, I really did enjoy the panel today. It was fun to hear you talk about what the audition process was like for Clone Wars and the fact that it was just another audition, just one of many that a voice actor would have had on your docket.
Yeah.
And I'm just curious, those first couple of episodes, especially when you didn't really know whether or not the character would be back, what was that like coming in, meeting all of the other actors and kind of getting that first foray into this world?
Okay, so Jessica, imagine getting cast on a Star Wars project and thinking you're just coming in as a guest for one episode. Great, right? But then you're trying to gauge, well, what is the flavor of this show? Because the show hadn't come out yet, the movie hadn't come out yet. So I didn't know what they were going for. And I was a fan of the original films and grew up, I'm a big Star Wars fan. So, but when I got there and I saw actors like Phil Lamar and Greg Proops, I was like, wait, what's happening here? What kind of show is this? I was like, oh, this is gonna be funny. This is gonna have some humor. But it's so great to have someone like Dave Filoni at the helm because a good voice director guides you and says, this is the tone of our show. This is the tone that we're trying to strike and the moments between the characters. So we broke it down. We really focused on the character work and how the characters affected each other, how they, what they wanted, what their own agendas were, and things like that. So I just had the best time doing that first episode. And like I said in the panel earlier, I was very surprised when they brought me back in and Dave Filoni said, George liked your character so much. He really wants to expand upon not only your relationship with Obi-Wan and that, because it's a little, risque, but also Mandalore and where they're at and their complicated history with war and having a pacifist at the helm of that. So I was like, yeah, that's a great idea. Well done, George. You're talking about George Lucas, right? And he's like, yeah. Yes, I am. And I was like, okay. So at that point, I knew it would be 3 episodes. So it was really cool because for that character, she continued to come back in other future stories. And I was just so happy to spend a lot of time with the Duchess.
Did they tell you when you took it that you would be Obi-Wan Kenobi's love interest?
I mean, okay, so the first episode we recorded was Voyage of Temptation. So that we had that big scene where I'm taken hostage by Greg Proop's character.
Tal Merrick.
Thank you, Tal Merrick. Yeah. Oh, Duchess. Right? He's so smarmy. And it's just hilarious that the Duchess didn't kick him off her boat earlier, or her ship. I call it a boat. It looks like a big
It's
yacht.
a boat ship.
It's a boat ship.
Ship. I would agree with you that it's a boat and a ship.
Filoni literally said it was meant to be like the Titanic.
Yeah. So, but Tal, he just had this, he had his own agenda. He had his own thing that he wanted to do, and set me up. Mm-hmm. And so, that scene was amazing. And I think we did change. I think there were some pickups. I think because it was supposed to be a standalone episode, I do remember coming back and doing pickups for that episode, since it became the middle of a 3-part arc. So
I figured that you'd kind of have to do that. I mean, to go from 1 to a 3-parter. But even when you just watch that episode, it does still almost feel like a standalone in terms of, they give you all that context to their backstory, and you can really kind of see how it could have worked as a standalone, and that's all it was. But, I mean, how wonderful to be able to come back and get more context to that story. And not only that, but to know that that story was what kicked off all of this new Mandalorian stuff that we have going on right now.
Right? I mean, it's so weird because when I watch just as a Star Wars fan, but also because I feel a closeness to Mandalore and to the Duchess Satine. When I watch The Mandalorian and I watch the Book of Boba Fett and I see the Darksaber, I have a visceral reaction to that particular tool, by the way. So, when we saw it in season 1, I started going, what? And my husband goes, what? And I was like, He goes, what? I said, Darksaber. He goes, what? I said, that's what killed me in the Clone Wars. And he said, I should rewatch those shows.
My murder weapon.
Thanks, dear. He's not a big Star Wars fan, but he is a big supporter of mine. So he watched all the shows originally when they originally aired.
Right.
But he can't keep up with all the characters and doesn't, so.
It's been a while.
I love you, babe, but, Star Wars is not his thing.
Yeah, and now to see your sister come to the live action screen.
It's amazing, yeah. And Katie's so fantastic. So we never got to record the animated series together, but we did meet. She had just left her session and I was coming in, so sometimes it's scheduling problems and things like that. But we hugged and met, and she's my sister. So
that's so sweet. I mean, I know that Dave Filoni has said that that's kind of when he pitched to George Lucas that the two of you were sisters.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's so cool to see how those characters can all kind of have those connections, but they don't always start that way. Sometimes it's kind of a little bit retroactive.
Right, yeah. Because that was the fifth season. That was around the Lawless episode where we met. Mm-hmm. So
I'm just going to throw this out there. I'm hoping, since with Mandalorian we're going to get back to Mandalore, that there are many references to Satine, and if not, maybe a flashback.
Yeah, I agree.
How would you feel if they're like, hey, we're going to do a Satine flashback with Bo-Katan? If they called you, would you?
Of course.
Be like,
you don't say no to that, Micah.
I'm in.
No.
You can't afford me.
Yeah. I'll do it for peanuts and Cracker Jacks.
Actually, I think they could. I'd work for SAG-AFTRA wages on that one. That would be a deal. And Katie has these amazing credits, on camera. I, early on in my career, decided not to pursue an on-camera career. I wanted to be a voice actor. But I started doing theater. I started doing journalism in high school, and I just always loved performing and being on stage, and but the characters I always played in high school were like Maria from Sound of Music, or character parts with accents. So when I found voice acting, I just 100% dove into it. So, but that is not to say that I would never, I would absolutely accept or audition or find, if there was an opportunity to be a part of a live action Star Wars series, I'm there.
If Filoni's doing it, you better not have to audition. I'm just saying that. I want to dive into some of your voice acting. When you came in, off camera, you told me that you were just doing a video game and that you kind of lost your voice.
Yeah.
I need to hear the story now.
So I can't tell you what the name is because I signed an NDA.
Understand.
But it's a big war video game coming out this fall, September. I'm working on it again next week, hopefully, if this is better. Yeah, it was a fantastic session, and I've gotten used to doing a lot of sessions at home now because of the pandemic.
Right.
So when we, being voice actors, get to go into the studio, we get very excited. So this was a big war video game where I'm just yelling and screaming, shouting out orders, shouting out proclamations, the whole thing, right? So usually what you do is you start with the conversation, the dialogue, because you can't, once you go big with your voice and it starts to get tired, you can't go back to being intimate and sound at the same or sound normal. So you start small and you go big. So it was I was there about 3.5 hours. So the last hour of it was just yelling, just screaming. And we were taking breaks, I was drinking tea. But man, the line that did it was, "Eat lead!" I had so much fun doing that. And then we did another 3 in a row of just that line because he was like, "I just wanted to see your face when you got to see Eat Lead again because you love that line." And I was like, "Yeah, I do." But it was battle cries all over the place. So you have to take care of your instrument. And that's what I tell voice actors. Be careful, advocate for yourself, tell the director or someone when you're feeling tired. I have no excuse. I'm a professional. I should have known this, but I was just so excited. I was so excited. I was like, well, it'll be fine. No.
It's funny to hear you talk about that kind of role because I think I remember an interview with you a long time ago kind of talking about how you often get cast as the more noble characters. I mean, Maria in Sound of Music or Satine, even Sugi, your bounty hunter character is like the most noble of all the bounty hunter
Right?
characters.
She's like a bounty hunter with a good moral compass.
Exactly.
Is that possible?
It is now.
Only for Sugi, because she was the best one there, and she was trying to help the villagers. And she was very suspicious of Anakin and Obi-Wan and Ahsoka when they showed up.
Very strong moral code.
Yes, exactly.
Wait, I feel like I should do Russian too. I'm feeling very left out.
This is possible.
So then my question then is, I think I remember this interview of you kind of being like, well, I want to play a little bit greater range than that. So,
Yeah.
I mean, this video game character that you just talked about, that definitely seems to be a little bit different. Have you been able to find more of a range more recently?
You know what? That's funny that you say that. I guess and again, I'm playing a noble character who is a fighter.
Okay.
But trying to figure out what side to fight on, if that makes sense. I would very much like to play more evil, sinister characters. That is always so much fun. But yeah, I just, when the time is right, kind of a thing. I mean, for auditioning for us actors, you have to do the best, the absolute best every time, and then send it away. Email that MP3, and then it's out of your hands. There are so many factors that go into casting and who will get the role ultimately that don't have to do with your audition. Mm-hmm. So I just do the best I can and try not to get down or depressed about the ones I don't get, because my job as an actor is auditioning, and I don't get the majority of the things I audition for. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Anna, thank you so much for joining us and giving us some of your
Micah.
time today. We know it's Saturday, it's the busy day, and we're just so glad that you're here, and I hope that you've enjoyed yourself in the con.
I have.
I hope our Southern hospitality's been good to you.
Man, and I'm so sorry. I'm originally from Memphis, so I'm just so happy
So
to
she
be.
knows what's
I do. I'm
Southern
glad to be
hospitality.
back in Tennessee. I moved out to LA in '98, so I guess I've lived there longer than I've lived in Tennessee. But I'm just so happy. Thank you. Everybody's so kind.
Well, welcome back.
Thanks, man.
If you haven't yet, come back tomorrow. You're here tomorrow?
I'm here tomorrow. Come
She's
see
here tomorrow.
me.
Come
Matt.
see her. Yep, get her autograph, get a photo op. Thank you again for coming, and you have yourself a good weekend.
May the force be with you.
And with you.
This summer, saddle up in Smashville as the Music City hosts the hottest party of the summer. WWE SummerSlam Nashville. For the first time ever at Nissan Stadium, a little bit country, a little bit rock and roll, a whole lot of kick-ass. WWE SummerSlam, Saturday, July 30th. Tickets on sale now.